Hi. So much has been said about ChatGPT and the recent AI flurry of announcements from the big boys, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, and going to these co-pilots into the organizational workspaces. Do you then have an AI usage policy? So why is this important? The purpose of a generative AI usage policy is to establish guidelines for the ethical and responsible use of generative AI by all stakeholders, while safeguarding organizations' interests and also ensuring the compliance with legal requirements and ethical standards. So generative AI refers to the application of machine language learning techniques to generate content such as text, images, and videos. What should go into a AI usage policy? The use of generative AI must comply with existing company policies, laws, and regulations. Should inculcate a culture of ethical and responsible use of generative AI. Authorized employees and internal stakeholders that are using the generative AI must be trained on its ethical and responsible use. Clear guidelines to curate and approve generative AI technology by the company that could be used by authorized personnel. So those are the 4 components that should be part of the usage policy of AI. Let me just share with you what is this ethical and responsible use concern. Generative AI must not be used to create offensive and harmful, leading or deceptive content. Respect for intellectual property rights, including obtaining necessary permissions or licenses for training the data used to train custom AI models. Because there have been cases where firms have used free data sets from the internet. The content that was produced by the AI had the watermarks of those particular copyrighted content. And the preventions of unintended or unauthorized use of personal data, confidential information, and IP property, including those of the company's clients, customers, employees, and other stakeholders. So that comes under data governance concerns. What are the key activities surrounding the generative AI? First, of course, creating text, audio, images, or video content. Second, whether you input or upload text, audio, images, or video content to the AI. And last, if you're developing or training an AI model using custom proprietary data, companies may be actually using AI to process their internal knowledge bases. You want to have an AI usage policy to govern all these 3 activities. So what are the awareness and concerns of the risks on legal obligations? First, of course, is ethical concerns surrounding misleading, biased, or harmful content generation, misinformation and manipulation through generative AI. So you've heard concerns from even governments where nearer to election there could be prone to very convincing misinformation campaigns because the AI itself can generate very convincing statements, and it's been known to also hallucinate, i.e. make up information that's not true. Regulatory compliance, including data protection, intellectual property, and industry-specific regulations, IP infringement risks, and privacy and data security concerns, and that is in the domain of the data protection officer. The AI policy itself doesn't stand on its own. If you are a DPO already implemented your data protection management program, you need to reference these additional policies. For example, your data protection policy, your code of ethics and professional conduct policy, your information sec policy, your SOP on handling data breaches, and your employee handbook. Next, part of your AI policy should have the approved list of sanctioned AI apps. So you should have some guidelines, what's approved and what's not, and why are the guidelines in terms of what will come under approved list. Content creation and moderation. So all generated content should undergo review and verification to ensure accuracy, quality, and compliance. Generated content should not be harmful, misleading, defamatory, discriminatory, or infringe upon IP rights. Last, of course, you should have mechanisms to monitor and moderate this content. The respect for IP rights cannot be understated, so the stakeholders themselves should not unknowingly use the tool to create reproduce copyrighted material without already having obtained permission licenses from those creators. If you're uncertain, then there should be some guidelines who to approach internally and what kind of clauses should go into your particular contracts if you're using certain sort of data sets. Now, responsible data usage. Data used for training your AI should comply with applicable data protection laws. Consent anonymization techniques should be deployed. It should be sourced responsibly to to ensure there is no biasness and is diverse and representative of the particular cohort that you're looking at, and maintain transparency and communicate to users how the data is collected, used, or stored, especially regarding human personal data. Now, confidentiality and personal data protection. Ensure that your information entered is generic and non-sensitive nature. If you're going to use to process or analyze proprietary data, make sure that you have guidelines not to use them in terms of trade secrets or third-party information given in confidence, because once submitted to the AI, it can be used for training. Do not enter any personal data into an AI tool, including personal data by yourself, company employees, consultants, associates, contractors, including your clients. Next, define the roles and responsibilities and what needs to be done. Let me just show you the 3 types of roles that you want to be addressing in a policy. This example. First is the managers. You want to ensure your managers provide adequate training resources to the employees to understand the risks of using generative AI and what's best practice. Monitor the use of the tools within your own team. Have a culture of responsible ethical use. Reward people for adherence to the policy. Next type of people is actually the content creators. You want to be looking at familiarizing themselves with the guidelines, review and verify, avoid disseminating content that's harmful, adhere to the moderation, and seek guidance. Content creators, once the content goes up, especially if you're using for commercial purpose, it can be very damaging if actually you do not adhere to some of these guidelines, because they could spread far and wide. Guidelines for developers. If you're developing apps, for example, you want to familiarize themselves with the data protection law and regulations. Deploy proper anonymization techniques to protect individual privacy. Look at the source of data responsibly. Ensure diversity, representativeness, and freedom from biases. My question to you, do you have guidelines for your developers? I'll give you some examples in terms of identified risks and controls and how you might frame them. We actually have this in our own policies that, there's risk description, risk example, and recommended controls. And this forms part of our policy guide so that employees know what to do with them. So you can say accidental risk of sharing confidential or personally identifiable information. The description could be inadvertently sharing sensitive data by inputting into the tool. So an example could be AI model trained on confidential secrets and personal data of individuals. Then the control will be implementing confidentiality provisions in contracts if you're dealing with third party and tools, avoiding input of personal data and sensitive data into AI tools. Next line may be a challenge for you, right? Non-compliance with existing IP laws. So the description could be the failure to adhere to relevant IP laws and regulation. So the AI developer neglects, for example, to comply with copyright law in training the data source. Then what's your control? You need to provide training and communication, because this thing is developing so fast and it's actually proliferating into your organization, whether you know it or not. All right? If you're sanctioning the use, there is also a lot of unsanctioned use. You want to provide appropriate education and training to internal stakeholders on the responsible use of especially generative AI, and have ethical consideration, privacy consideration, the security and legal requirements, and enable your stakeholders to help drive ethical and responsible AI. It's just not the data protection officer. Your IT department, your legal and GRC department, your HR department, all play a very critical role in order to be able to disseminate and operationalize ethical and responsible use. If you are unaware of what are the concerns, let me just share with you. Right, we have actually a training coming up, a masterclass for generative AI and its implications on data protection. And we have a number of speakers here. In fact, we have Microsoft as a partner talking about the impact of generative AI on future jobs and business productivity. Adoption of generative AI in Singapore, a startup perspective. We have impact on SMEs. We have also generative AI implications on data protection practices. And we have guest of honor Patrick Tay, MP, who will be also addressing what is the landscape in Singapore. We have privacy sweep and findings of generative apps. We have scanned a number of apps and you'll be surprised at some of the findings we have. And then we talk about the new EU AI law and legal landscape in AI for ASEAN, and Microsoft approach to responsible AI. IMDA will also share an AI governance framework. We have new SMU learning roadmap with us on data protection and generative AI. We're launching some interesting courses along those lines. We have the DPO profession in new AI age. What kind of competencies, skills, and roles are needed? So I hope it's been exciting for you to hear that this AI development is here to stay and it's proliferating very fast into organizations. In fact, we've been doing a survey and the findings, I think, eye-popping. As part of the Data Protection Excellence Network, weekly we are pumping out different content along this space in terms of the edge of data governance, right? So join us. We have WhatsApp groups, Facebook, LinkedIn, and also in emails. We actually send out newsletters summarizing some of these content we put out, whether video or text. By all means, it's an all-in membership package, so go to dpaxnetwork.org if you're not a member already, and join us in the Masterclass in July. The link's below. So I hope to see you there, and we're going to be announcing more interesting things to enable AI business professionals.
For more data protection resources, visit www.dpaxnetwork.org, the Data Protection Excellence Network, and sign up for free as a member to have full access to all content. Do also like and follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn if you found this useful.